hardest feeling to watch someone you really loved and you have a family with just be so different than who you knew.
Not about cheating or gossip. This is the story of how two powerful people slowly drifted apart. It all started like a dream no one dared to imagine. Kim Kardashian, queen of fashion and reality TV, and Kanye West, the genius with a reputation for both brilliance and chaos. When they first appeared together, it felt electric. Fame meeting creativity, glamour meeting raw vision. People couldn't stop talking about them. Every red carpet, every public appearance, they looked untouchable. Fame, fashion, influence, it felt unstoppable. And at the time, it was. Kanye's intensity was magnetic. It wasn't just charm, it was a force, a kind of protective energy that made Kim feel like she had someone in her corner, someone who saw her, someone who understood the stakes of living in the spotlight. Early on, that fire felt inspiring, even comforting. For Kim, it was like walking with someone who could see the world as she did, but also push her to imagine more than she dared before. Back then, that intensity felt like strength. That's important to remember. And then came the big moment everyone watched. Their wedding in 2014. A high-profile, star-studded event that felt like it belonged in magazines and movies at the same time. They were now a real unit, not just a headline. Soon, 4 children came into the picture: North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm. Each one layering more joy, more responsibility, and more intensity into their already high-octane lives. At first, it worked. Their worlds collided, and somehow it felt like balance. Celebrity and creativity intertwined perfectly, and for the first few years, Kim and Kanye seemed like the ultimate power couple. Unstoppable, untouchable, and absolutely captivating.
What is the most prized possession in the house?
You.
I was gonna say that. Just kidding.
And here's where things started to shift. The fire that once drew them together began to burn differently. Kanye's mind was always moving, always creating, always on the edge. Genius doesn't come quietly, and his creativity comes with volatility. One moment he was inspiring. Bold ideas, visionary statements, everything larger than life. Then chaos followed. Decisions were impulsive, public, and unpredictable. What felt exciting at first slowly became destabilizing. For Kim, the picture started to look different. Her life wasn't just about glitz and cameras anymore. She was a mother, a businesswoman, and someone responsible for maintaining a household and protecting her family's world. Structure and predictability weren't luxuries, they were necessities. And Kanye's unpredictability, once thrilling, began to chip away at that safety. It wasn't about drama. It was about emotional survival. She later described the marriage as toxic at times, citing a lack of stability that left her feeling unsafe, emotionally and financially. Think about that. When the person you trust most can't provide a predictable environment, even love can't shield you.
I honestly can't do this anymore. Like,
No, I think that
can't.
why am I still in this like place where I'm stuck for years? Like he goes and moves to a different state every year.
I have to be like together so I can raise the kids, you know. And he's an amazing dad. He's done an amazing job. The whole
But he
thing.
still will be. He still will be.
I just like
He'll be better without you there. Like
I think he
handling
deserves
things.
someone that can go support his every move
Yeah.
and go follow him all over the place and move to Wyoming. I can't do that. He should have a wife that supports his every move and travels with him and does everything, and I can't.
I feel like a f***ing failure that it's like a third f***ing marriage. Yeah, I feel like a f***ing loser.
But I can't even think about that. Like, I want to be happy.
And it wasn't small stuff. Kanye's actions, giving away expensive possessions, making major life decisions impulsively, broadcasting private moments, all of it undermined the careful structure Kim was trying to maintain. It wasn't malice, just intensity running unchecked. But intensity has a price, and for Kim, that price was stress, uncertainty, and the constant tension of holding everything together. Just when it seemed like their worlds were merging, the imbalance became clear. Kanye's brilliance demanded freedom. Kim's responsibilities demanded consistency, and that was the beginning of the subtle, painful split between excitement and stability. But here's where the cracks really started to show. What worked behind closed doors started to feel impossible under public scrutiny. Kanye didn't process his emotions quietly. He made them public, on social media, in interviews, and during award shows, spilling thoughts, frustrations, and personal struggles for the world to see. Every post, every outburst, every bold statement, all of it became their private life playing out on a public stage.
If my wife were to divorce me after this speech, she brought North into the world, even when I didn't want to.
Kim, on the other hand, needed privacy. Not just for herself, but for the children. North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm had no say in their lives being broadcast in real time to millions. And it wasn't just about embarrassment. It was about safety. The unpredictability of Kanye's public behavior created stress that seeped into every corner of the household. There were moments where Kim felt forced to take legal precautions, trying to protect her family from the fallout of tweets, posts, or offhand public comments. Can you imagine being married to someone you love, but constantly feeling like you have to manage the world's reaction to their impulses? It's one thing to handle chaos privately. It's another to live it out loud with cameras, tweets, and headlines following every misstep. The public intensity removed the sense of safety that any relationship needs to thrive. And that tension, invisible to outsiders, slowly wore her down, making the private collapse inevitable. And here's the part that really tests anyone's heart. Kanye has been open about his mental health struggles. And while no one can predict every storm, the reality of it shaped the marriage profoundly.
You have this moment. You feel everyone wants to kill you. You pretty much don't trust anyone. When you're in this state, you're hyper paranoid about everything.
In Kanye's case, his episodes lead to explosive tirade.
Did you have an effect on my mental health?
Yes, I'm saying yes.
The challenge wasn't just the illness itself, it was how the emotional burden landed on Kim. She became the one constantly managing unpredictability, the chaos, and the fires that erupted publicly and privately. She has described moments that felt almost like Stockholm Syndrome, a sense of needing to protect and help him, even when it drained her emotionally.
I always felt like I had a little bit of like Stockholm Syndrome, to where I always felt really bad and always protected and always like wanted to help.
Every social media storm, every impulsive decision, every public meltdown wasn't just a headline. It was a household crisis. Kim had to navigate it all while maintaining her children's stability, her own career, and her emotional well-being. And slowly, that unrelenting emotional load changed the way she saw the marriage. Not as a partnership of equals, but as a careful navigation of chaos. And here's where everything shifted. Kim's world wasn't just about fame or love anymore. It was about her kids. North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm weren't just part of her life, they were the center of it. The energy that once made Kanye's intensity thrilling suddenly felt risky in a way that mattered deeply. Love alone couldn't compete with the need for a predictable, safe environment. Kim repeatedly emphasized that protecting her children's routines, emotional well-being, and sense of normalcy became her top priority. Every decision she made, every boundary she set, revolved around creating stability for them. Public chaos, impulsive decisions, and unpredictability weren't just inconvenient. They were threats to the kind of upbringing she wanted for her family. Love didn't disappear. Priorities shifted. You could see it in small ways. How she navigated Kanye's social media storms, how she managed appearances, and how she tried to shield her children from the fallout of headlines. Being a mom reshaped her perspective entirely. The marriage wasn't just about two people anymore. It was about building a safe foundation for 4 children. And that foundation couldn't coexist with constant turbulence. 4 lives. 4 reasons everything changed. It's not dramatic exaggeration. It's real life. And for Kim, motherhood wasn't just a role. It became the lens through which she measured everything, including her marriage. When the thrill and intensity of love collide with the responsibility of keeping children safe, sometimes tough decisions have to be made. That's when love changes shape. That's the hardest part. So why did it end? Not because Kim stopped loving Kanye, far from it. She left because she couldn't build a peaceful future inside his world. Love couldn't outweigh instability, chaos, and unpredictability. Kim has spoken candidly about how the lack of stability and feeling unsafe, emotionally and financially, made it impossible to continue. She needed calm, routine, and structure. He thrived in intensity, improvisation, and public expression. Two powerful people, both brilliant in their own right, simply couldn't reconcile those differences in the long term. It wasn't failure in love, it was survival in life. Peace versus noise. Peace needs consistency. Noise feeds on unpredictability. Her priorities shifted toward creating a safe environment for her children and herself, and that choice had to come first. Some relationships don't fail from lack of love. They fail because one person needs peace and the other lives in noise. Sit with this for a second. Kim made the choice to protect her family, and sometimes that's the bravest love story of all. So, what's your take on this? Drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe. I've got way more coming your way.